Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last lecture in HRMT 622 in week number 9. Our focus is performance management. Today, we're going to look at what is performance management, what are the functions, the methods, and the concept of talent management. When we look at this concept, we can understand that it is an ongoing process. In a very simple language, we want to know how our employees are working in different departments and have a better idea of their performance. So it should be an ongoing process, and it involves giving feedback, exchanging feedback, coaching them, and also recognizing their achievements or needs. Performance appraisal is a similar concept to performance management. However, some people believe that it's less formal and can happen in a casual manner. It is the evaluation of person's performance, and whenever managers provide feedback to their employees, identify their developmental needs, what should be done to improve their work qualities, when managers decide on promotions and rewards in order to encourage their employees, and sometimes the opposite, if they want to offer some demotions or termination, so stop working with us. And this can happen after a process of appraisal. The other common definitions is that some people believe that giving feedback and holding people accountable are the foundations of performance management. Imagine you're working in a company, or imagine right now you as students studying at UCW, there are some faculty members who are working with you. So you might have some supervisors or the staff working in this university. They must be accountable for what they're doing there. And there has to be a system to check their performance. And that is why we need to rely on a big concept called performance management. Once is not enough, feedback needs to be ongoing. So feedback is very important, and it shouldn't be sporadic. It should be an ongoing process throughout the years. In performance management, we need to set some realistic goals and then adjust them when we go forward. For example, at the time of COVID-19, perhaps we need to upgrade our learning teaching systems. And also, this is a great way to motivate our employees or give them a better focus. And my final definition for performance management is that this is a kind of very important skill for managers. And based on previous studies, when employees receive meaningful performance discussions with their managers, of course, they become more productive and they face some opportunities for challenging work or even learn some new skills along the way. Performance management is a key responsibility for managers. So tomorrow, if you're working in a team, tomorrow, if you are dealing with a bunch of people in your company, you need to know some skills of performance management. How do you evaluate the quality of your team or those people who are working with you? Now, let's go to more details. When we talk about the uses, of course, there are a lot of functions. For example, some administrative purposes that can affect your pay salaries. Sometimes they give you promotions or awards. Another use is that, of course, employees receive feedback from their managers or supervisors, or even those people who are observers. Employee can develop their work, get better focus, and can improve their performance. And we also need to know about appraisal, because it's a good way to assess the talent, skills, strategies, and knowledge of your employees through a large number or a number of tests, which are some assessment tools. And appraisal is functional because it provides training. And then sometimes based on that, you need to job redesign. For example, if you're working in your department and your observer is positive about your performance, so you might get some extra projects for your future, or even you're moving to another department with more responsibilities. In our textbook, there are two major approaches when we're talking about how can we align the employees' okay, performance with the company's performance. This is very important. And when you look at these two approaches, the cascading approach, the process begins from the top. The process begins from the head office when they assign some, for example, policies, and they give it to the division, and the division okay, distributes it to units, units team, and team individual. So when we look at this paradigm or this pyramid, we can also understand that this is like a top-down approach. So another name for cascading, in order to understand better, can be a cascading approach. However, sometimes we do the alignment from bottom up. So what the employee has in pocket and how can he or she contribute to the team and the team to the unit, or the opposite. So from bottom up. They're both common, but what is happening a lot, for example, at University Canada West or other universities. So in this kind of educational institutions, the process is mostly a cascading approach. So it's more okay, centralized, right? And they make their own decisions and give it to the lower units. Of course, there is a process when we talk about appraisal, and the process begins by number one, when your manager or the observer sets some objectives, which are called okay, performance objectives. What do you want to assess? What do you want to evaluate? Or another word is benchmarks. I'm going to, for example, see how do you work in a real context. Number two, I want to see how do you communicate with your customers. Number three, for example, how do you respond to emails, inquiries. Number four, how do you perform online on our social media? These could be all objectives. And also, sometimes we are working on a ranking system from 1 to 5. 1 shows poor, 2 is okay, and then 3 is good, 4 is very good, and 5 is excellent, for example. When you have your objectives ready, is the time to look at our performance. And performance means that we need to make sure that what you are, recording are based on standards. And so it should be very reliable. And it shouldn't be just at one specific time. For example, we need to do it at the beginning of the year, and then mid-year, and the end year, in order to get a better reliability from our performance. And when you perform, so when you evaluate the performance of employees, that's not enough. They need to hear back from you. And that's the time we provide feedback. So we try to communicate feedback, have some sessions with them, have some interviews, inform them about the results of our observation, of our appraisal. And then what else? A record of our interview or discussion goes to the HR records and decisions. Perhaps this person can get a better position in this company, or maybe something opposite happens. When we talk about some measurement, so be careful, it could be direct or indirect in one category, objective and subjective in another one. When you talk about direct, it means that when your observer or manager observes you directly and gives you some rates. Indirect can be through watching, for example, your performance online, or through reading the complaints, inquiries, emails from your customers. That is one possible measurement. The next one is objective. When you observe people, when you give them rates based on some preset information, some preset like multiple choice even, or the Likert scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 measures. So it's more quantitative. When you, for example, want to see the number of tasks they complete per year, the amount of sales, for example, these could be objectives. However, when we refer to their opinions, personality, mindset, growth, motivation, feelings, attitudes, personality, these could be more subjective. Another thing that we need to look at is what are some common methods of evaluation? Sometimes many companies follow the comparative. And as the name shows, when you are compared with other employees, not alone, you and others, you and other team members. Now, the first one is ranking method. When they observe you and put your rank, who is first? For example, Bob is first, you are second, Jack is third, Maria is fourth. So they give you a rank based on this. Sometimes, instead of giving you a rank 1, 2, 3, 4, first, second, third, they put you in different categories. This is a classification of hardworking employees. This is the classification of dedicated people. This is the classification of poor performance employees. But some people believe that it should be more non-comparative, who you are. So there are a lot of methods that can evaluate your performance alone. So the first one is rating scale. So for example, is based on, so this is like oldest and most widely used methods. First of all, so they give you a rate, and this rate is unique to you. Of course, there can be a problem, and the problem can be subjective, because the raters can have his or her opinion involved, and they give you a lower or upper rate. So that can be the problem for this. Sometimes they give you bars, and based on the bars example, so they put you, so they have a lot of categories or classifications. It's very similar to our previous comparative. So when they put you in classifications, and then so they put you in on a different scale, and it's only you. They aren't comparing you with anyone else. And the final one, very common, they can understand you better. They can know more about your performance by looking at tests and observations. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about is that there are many sources for a good performance rating. How can we rate you? Of course, your peers who are working in your team, customers and clients, very important part in companies. Sometimes self-appraisals. They give you a survey, or they have a kind of an interview with you or discussion to have your ideas. They collect data from that. Of course, your supervisors and other direct reports based on your managers, even former managers can be counted here. The next two things that we want to talk, so now you guys are familiar overall with the concept of performance management, but the next thing is that how can we develop one for a company? If a company needs to improve it, what are the methods, or how can we build it for companies? Now, look at this model that can be useful for your future. But the last concept that I want to talk today is talent management. Where is talent management? We can look at this popular 9-box model, very common. So many companies believe that when we are talking about assessment and performance assessment, we need to also consider the concept of talent management. It needs to have a place in this model. Now, there are two main areas. Number one, performance assessment. When they come and look at you, so they might tell you talent risk is low, solid professional, moderate performer, and high professional. So this is what you're doing. But also we can see that what you're doing is not enough. When we talk about talent management, we need to also look at the future possibilities. What could you do? Now you do this, so maybe that's based on your previous experience, your for example, previous job activities. But what could you be? What are your potentials? That's why this model is very popular. And when we talk about potential assessment, so are you a risk taker, very low risk taker, or you're moderate, inconsistent player? You could be inconsistent in your future projects, or you're a rough diamond. Okay, so you're highly potential, you can do really well. And if you look at it, a person can have a low performance assessment, but at the same time has high potential in the future. And the green boxes in this category, very important. Sometimes the green box says that you are the current star. Why? Because your performance assessment is high at the moment, and you're working medium potential, so you're a current star, you're doing well, we are okay with your performance. But sometimes for this part, your current is moderate, but you can do really well for the future. Then they call you a future star. And the best category that we can refer is that you are doing really well at the moment with your current position and you have a very high potential for your future, then you become a consistent star. Now, have these three categories in your mind because in the future, so you might refer to, or if you're in a job interview, just keep this model in your mind. Thank you very much. And that was the end of our lecture for today. In the class, we're going to discuss some critical questions and work on a scenario. Thank you.